Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. This is Dylan with Tucson Future Classics, and that is our 2023 Desert Spec White over Light Gray Kia Niro EV. All right, so before I start walking around this second gen Niro and telling you about the model as a whole, this particular one here has got 29,000 miles on it. It was a lease return coming down to us out of Clovis, California, just outside of Fresno up there in the Central Valley. And the previous owner did a little bit of periodic maintenance on this thing. Basically, whenever the maintenance minder went off, they brought it to the dealer they got it from, and they did a full maintenance inspection, tire rotation, that kind of thing. So it roughly 7,000 and 15,000 miles they had that done. So nice to see a little bit of upkeep done even on a leased vehicle such as this. One other noteworthy thing you'll see when you get inside the car, this has the light gray interior, which was a not very commonly opted for option package on these. You had to special order that, and well, it makes it really well suited for us down here in the desert Southwest, because it definitely keeps you a lot cooler inside with all the touch points like the seat and the wheel and everything. But now let's get nerdy. Let's get into what makes a second gen Niro such an improvement and an iteration over the first gen Niros and Hyundai Konas. Because this is very similar underneath. It's the same motor up front, almost the same battery pack, and they stretched the frame just an inch to give you a little bit longer wheelbase. So this has 14 more miles of range than the previous generation Niro at 253. The other one had 239. They got most of that through aerodynamic tricks like this. If you look behind there, you can just see light poking through, and I'll come around to this side. These, Hyundai and Kia call them the aero blades. It's a flying buttress. So being a flying buttress, if it ain't Baroque, don't fix it. And it fools the airflow into thinking the car is skinnier than it is. That's where they really got the range from, was aerodynamic tricks. It makes it quieter going down the road at high-speed highway travel, and it makes you that much slipperier. The new battery has better architecture and better cooling, meaning it is over 100 pounds lighter. It is skinnier to improve underbody airflow and aerodynamics, and it lets you charge faster as well, which I'll get into when I show you the charge port. But just a nicely styled and lots of little tricks to make it quieter, more comfortable, and a little bit longer legged than the Niros that came before it. And anybody that can manage to fool the air into thinking a boxier shape like this is slipperier than the old bubbly one is a very clever aerodynamicist. So let's find out more of that cleverness up in the front, in the car, and out for a drive. So I talked about charging before. Charge port's right up here on the snout. You've got your standard J1772 plug on top and your CCS fast charger there on the bottom. Little LED light indicators to show state of charge as it is charging. One fun thing with this, when you plug it in, a little robotic voice will go, "Charging started," every time, just so you're sure. Now, a cool thing with the new architecture on this has a faster level 2 charger than the original ones were to have. So you can go from 0 to 100 in right around 7 hours, as opposed to between 9 and 10 hours with the previous ones. This will fast charge at roughly the same rate on a level 3 fast charger out there on the highway, and these with an adapter are compatible with Tesla's superchargers. And if you have to treat it like a cell phone, plug it in when you get home and run old school 120, no big deal. This is aerodynamic enough where you'll be able to get about 5 miles per hour of range accrual just charging off a regular old wall outlet. Up here under the hood, as you'd expect, it's an EV, so there's not a ton to look at, but it is quite well laid out with a few improvements, like the single reservoir for your cooling system. This one has the upgraded chiller there, which these two were integrated in the very last year of the first gen, so they carried over to this one. As a driver, you got to worry about your windshield washer fluid right here, making sure that coolant stays within its level there. Got a brake fluid reservoir you can check here. 12-volt battery is here, and your fuse box is there. This little purple guy, pull that up to release your charge port down below if you're out of juice. And for this generation, they even gave you a little weather sealed frunk. You can see the weather stripping there, and This is a good spot for just keeping like that level 1 portable charge cord or something like that, stored out of sight, out of mind, and nice and dry. Coming around to the back of the Niro, push the button, and up it comes. Now all these have the power lifts, which gives you a nice wide opening. As you climb into the back, you can see, because this is an EV architecture, this does share its platform with the gassers, but this being EV, you get a really deep cargo bay down in here, and it's actually a split floor. So underneath this false floor, you lift it up, you've got the level 1 charger that's going to come with this thing. You've got your little roadside recovery kit, the tow hook, and your fix-a-flat goo and a tire inflator, as well as my dealer plates, some rags, and an extra shirt of mine because I sweat through all of my clothes on top of this parking garage. But the back seats do exactly what you'd expect. You've got top tethers cut in here to anchor the bigger booster seats, and you just flip the tab and let gravity take them right on down. Boom. Lots of cargo space that way. So really easy and pretty modular. Into the back seat of the Niro here. I've got both seats up front as far back as they can go to show you the worst case scenario for spacing. There we go. You'll see I'm very sweaty, but more importantly, I'm 6'1", 275 pounds. I've got a good deal of knee room, great shoulder room, and even a pretty decent bit of headroom here. They really did a good job optimizing space in the back of this thing. I'm going to turn you around one more time and show you a couple of neat things. So backseat passengers get their own air vents back here, which push a good deal of wind through them. And you have USB-C fast chargers integrated in the back of both front seats for the backseat passengers to keep their devices topped up. And like all vehicles, you've got your child seat latch anchor points on the bottom of the left and right main seats, and the oh so obligatory cup holder armrest here in the middle. But yeah, little hard storage pockets, and not a bad place to be in the back of this Niro. Coming into the captain seat of the Niro here, really quick, on the door card there is a water bottle cut out here, good for standard size water bottles. If you got a big one, I'll show you later, but you can take out a divider and lay like a big Nalgene or Yeti bottle underneath there. But climbing in again, this really nice, and I do not understand why more people do not opt for the light colored interiors in these things. Yeah, it's a nice and bright place to be. Starting over here on the driver's door, you've got your power windows, your power door locks, and your power mirrors right here. And I kind of like the way this is styled because they give you a cloth arm pad here, and your stuff just, kind of falls nicely to hand. It's a pretty ergonomic design. On this side here, you've got your dimmers, your trunk open and close, and if you hold it down, you can set the maximum height at which it will open to, and that is your traction control on and off button there. Here on the wheel, a couple of controls, but it's pretty easy to remember. On the left-hand side, these are all of your cruise control controls, and this runs the center display, which I'll get to in a minute. Down below is your drive modes, and these are all your infotainment buttons. Mode changes, station or type of entertainment you're enjoying, AM, FM, XM, Bluetooth, CarPlay, what have you. This is voice activation, so you can yell at the car and tell it to do stuff, answer and hang up calls, volume, mute, skip tracks, all that usual stuff. But behind the wheel is something, if you're not familiar with these, you might not know. These are paddles that control your regen in real time when you drive. The right paddle will make less regen, the left paddle will make more, and I'll show you that when we're rolling. These ones all have automatic headlights as well as your standard marker lights on or all the way down for off. And over here, automatic wipers, and your rear wiper control is here. Now getting into this center display screen, this is one of 4 different themes or appearances it can have. This actually changes with the time of day and the weather around you. So the clouds will change and so will the sky as you drive, which is kind of neat. But if we go through this button here, we'll page through just a few of the options. So this is the trip meter for the entire life of the car. It's averaged 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty darn good for something like this, especially me knowing it comes from the Central Valley. More high-speed highway running, so that's a really respectable figure for highway cruising in in one of these. And then you can go through, it'll show you your power, where it's going, another speedometer, and then drive modes for since recharging. And this is showing a lot of my own idle time as I've been filming, keeping the AC running. So it's a little artificially low, but you know, your mileage will vary. You got a compass in here, as well as it'll show your tire pressures in real time as you're going down the road. This over here is just a graphical display of your battery state of charge. We're right around 90%, so it's almost all the way up, but not quite there. Your miles per kilowatt hour and your economy is shown down below. Temperature, drive mode here, so you got eco, normal, and sport, and they'll appear down there. And on another screen mode, which actually, I'm going to show you this right now. If you go to setup, you go to screen layout. First thing are your themes. Dynamic theme is what's there, changes with the weather and the time. Or if you go to link to drive mode, you get your classic round dials. And these also change depending on your drive mode. Eco, normal, and sport all get their own display styles. But other than that, pretty simple, clear and easy to see display. I appreciate how not glary this is for being nearly one contiguous glass display. Moving on to the infotainment though, there's a ton of stuff in here, and you can fall down a dozen rabbit holes personalizing this car to you in a million different ways. So let's touch on the big name stuff that you're going to really worry about. EV here is your EV menu, which shows your current state of charge, your range with HVAC, and your range without, based on the past like 10 to 15 miles of driving history. The options here let you set your charge amount, so DC charge, I'll usually leave that at 80 for DC fast charging, and AC, set it all the way up to 100, which I just did to try to get a maximum range figure for photos, but I'd usually leave that as 90 were it my own vehicle. You can change the current drawn on it on its charging cycle. If you have, you know, older circuitry in your house, you don't want to stress it out too much. Utility mode lets you run everything in the car without the car being fully powered on. Smart regen. This has automatic regenerative braking, which I'll show you when we drive, but this allows you to dial in its own settings. And then charging connector can either be always locked while charging, or you can have it not locked at all. And this is the voice. So when you plug it in, you can tell it how loud you want it to announce charging started, or just turn it off entirely if that annoys you. This does have its own native navigation, which works remarkably well, and it has one cool party trick. If you go to the menu and you go to EV range, it'll show a graphical depiction of your entire range circle, showing how far you can make it on your current state of charge, which is a nice, neat little thing. And if you were to go back to the home screen, go to nav, their own native nav has chargers built into it too, and it'll show you approximately how far you can go before you need to stop, what the most efficient charger it would be for you to hook up to, all that kind of stuff. So if you don't want to use an app like a Better Route Planner or something to really plan out your EV road trips, you can do it through the car. However, 95% of you want this button here, phone projection. This has wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay using that center USB data in right there. So if you have a phone, you can do it, hook it up, and you're good to run with it. You can also get a USB dongle that plugs into there that converts your phone's wireless signal, and then you can have wireless Android CarPlay or Apple Auto, Android CarPlay, whatever. So you don't have to be tethered directly to it. Now, Kia does a few cool things. If you're a parent, quiet mode kills all the back speakers and limits the overall volume to help keep the kids in the back sleeping. And if you need to fast charge or you just want a little bit of peace, it has a thing called Sounds of Nature, which is all pre-programmed, just calming soundtracks, so you can just play and sit in the car while you're charging, waiting to do something. It's kind of nice, and it's just all this kind of generally peaceful sounds. Even if you want to, have a date night and cuddle up next to somebody, you can play the warm ambient sounds of a crackling fire, which is just what you want when it's 100 degrees here in the desert. But like, hey, either way. Very, very clever stuff. It's a nice user interface, and it just has a little bit of fun about it, which I certainly like. Now, this that I'm interacting with down here, this is a multifunction panel. These are all haptic buttons, and it switches between quick touch for hotkeys for up here or your HVAC controls. Now, the AC in this, being an EV, it is always the most efficient to set it to auto, the temperature you want, and let it do its thing. But you can override it and set passenger and driver temperatures separately. So those two control how hot you want it. This, right in the middle, controls how hard you want it. And this here will control where you want it. Driver and passenger both have heated seats as well. And if you're the only one in the car and you want to make it as efficient as possible while staying cool, hit driver only. It shuts a butterfly valve here in the middle and diverts all of the air just to your two vents here. Again, more electrically efficient to cool you specifically down than the entire car. Your charging points are down here. Got yourself a cigarette lighter there, USB for information in and power, as well as a USB-C fast charger. And that little orange light right there is because the wireless charge port or wireless charging pad is currently charging my second phone down below. Here on the center, really simple stuff. This is your power button here, and this is your brindle. Park is the middle, reverse to the left, neutral to the middle, and then drives all the way to the right. Heated seat controls are there. Auto hold will keep you from rolling when you come to a stop. This is for your parking sensors, and this guy here will kick on your backup camera even if you're not in reverse. You've got an electronic parking brake down here as well. Now, for more of the cool storage, this is actually a very, very clever solution. I like it a lot. You've got this little dividing tray. So you pop that back into its spot there. And now you have a divided console and a tray area, and these cup holders retract and pop back out depending on the size of cup you have. And then you just pull this out. If you got a big water bottle like I do, plop it in there, slide that back, and shut it. It's a really good space utilization and clever storage tricks in here. But that's pretty much everything you need to know to actually get in and drive this thing. So without further ado, let's go do that. All right, everybody, I've got all the windows open, and as we drop down into the parking garage, you're gonna hear, any undue noises, or if this is gonna make any squeaks or rattles or clunks, we'll hear them together as we get down inside and everything starts echoing. So, for about 10 seconds, I'm gonna shut my mouth so y'all can open your ears. And a little stab of throttle, little brakes. It's a just under 3-year-old EV. We know it's going to be a quiet thing. The only noise it really makes is that which it is federally mandated to make at less than 20 miles an hour. But let's say you want to back in right by this pole here, right? So, knock it into reverse. Backup camera comes up, and you've got your sonar showing up here and here to give you a little bit better situational awareness as you go in. So you'll see, like I always test. Yeah, picks them up nicely, and it yells at you. The sensors even pick up those little cables, which some do, some don't. So it's nice to see that this has the resolution to pick those up. But let's actually get out on the road and get some real speed into this thing and show you some normal commuting and road trip scenarios. All right, I'm gonna just stab it. As we get up to speed onto the interstate here. Oh man, instant EV torque makes merging very, very fun. So as soon as I get a gap, I'm gonna slide over a couple lanes, and I'm gonna set the the adaptive cruise control, the lane keep, because Hyundai and Kia do have some of what I personally consider to be just about the best out there for these. It takes about 60 to 80% of the workload off of you as the driver, and it just, brackets itself in its lanes, locks onto the vehicle in front, so it paces them. Even if I was to try to override it and set the speed to 80 right here, it's going to grab that Ranger and just maintain our pace behind them. But if you listen closely, and I'm going to talk pretty quietly for a second, for a large hatchback, small wagon, crossover, whatever you want to call this size class of vehicle, there is remarkably little wind noise, especially out here at high-speed highway cruising. In fact, knock us over a lane really quick, and up to not quite felony speeds. So, as you'll hear, all those aerodynamic tweaks really make a difference in wind noise and buffeting, especially out here on the highway. And, you know, the first generation of these Niros, I always recommend these to people that are looking for their first EV. Decent range, a lot of space, good capability, and it's pretty cool to see how they have, you know, leveled up the platform for this second generation, kind of elevated it, because now this is an even more competent road trip machine if you want to use it as one, or it'll handle, you know, a little bit of panic braking there because the truck got in front of us. Good car. And it'll handle any commuting duties that you need to worry about with just aplomb and ease. It's white on the outside, light colored on the inside. These are simply big bumps, are simply really good appliances, and they reward you for using them as such. I'm sitting here at a light. I want to show you the functionality on these paddles here. Again, the right-hand paddle reduces your regen, left paddle increases your regen, all the way up to, it'll turn I-pedal on, which is your one-pedal driving mode. So I can just give it a little bump of pedal, let off the pedal, comes back to a complete stop. So they give you the option of using one pedal driving if you like it and if you want to, but unlike some modern EVs, if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. And this is really the best for like in-town, stop and go, like commuting driving. When you get out on the highway, I prefer to knock it down one notch to its highest regen without being in one pedal mode for additional smoothness. Okay, staged up at a mostly abandoned dead-end road here in Tucson, we're going to do a quick 0 to 40 to 0 to show that there's nothing hiding in the brakes or suspension of this vehicle under full accelerative or decelerative load. Now, I'm going to put her in sport mode real quick. Going to hold traction control down. Took us from limited to disabled. Now, one note, these Gen 2s did get powertrain reprogramming, so they won't quite do the same hilarious burnouts the Gen 1s will do, but it gives you a more consistent and controllable power delivery and way less tire wear. So let's see if we can't make those tires make just a little bit of noise in spite of that. 3, 2, 1, go. Nope, it just digs. 40. Very, very nice. ABS working hard to bring us straight and true to a nice, safe, controllable stop. And with it being in I-pedal, as soon as I let off the gas pedal, before I even touched the brakes, it was already using maximum regen to try to slow me down. So again, these EVs, really confidence-inspiring vehicles in a panic situation. Sitting here in traffic, I've actually got the adaptive cruise running, and this has 0 mile-an-hour cruise control. It'll bring you to a dead stop. So as you see, traffic goes to pull away. It prompts me, I resume it. It stays locked to the car ahead and accelerates us up with them. Now, I typically do not really condone using systems like this not out on the highway and in more congested urban and suburban commuting, but as a kind of competency test, as a stress test for the system, I do like to show off that it even works here on, you know, like city streets, so it can make your commute just that little bit easier. And one last thing on the city streets, if your commute isn't easy and you got to deal with some pretty beat up roads, we'll do a quick suspension check, cut down this alley and through some like neighborhoods. Manhole cover there, and we got a couple speed bumps up ahead. Clip right over them at 20. Got some big chunks in the pavement, some craters. It really doesn't care too much about the imperfections in the road. And one last stretch of road right up on the other side of this roundabout where it gets pretty tore up. just to show you, like, rattle test. Plastics aren't really banging against each other. Suspension's not bottoming out or clunking against its stops. You know, it's not even a 3-year-old car. It'll handle basically any road your commute takes you on. Plus, being an EV, lower center of gravity means the suspension doesn't have to work as hard to control body roll and all the, you know, rolling motions and undulations that rough roads would throw at you. There you go, everybody. Back at our little dirt lot, wrapping everything up on the desert spec, white over light gray 2023 Kia Niro EV. Now, as you can tell by what it's parked in front of, we really like this platform and Hyundai Kia's EVs in general. The first generation of this was always my go-to recommendation for someone looking to either get their first EV or upgrade and transition from a city runabout EV like a 500e, a Spark, or a small battery Leaf to a longer range do-it-all EV platform, and that's exactly what this is. It took everything, made the first gen's great, and just gave it like 20% extra everywhere. Longer wheelbase for more comfort, way better aerodynamics for more efficiency and a quieter ride, and yeah, put you, for your friends, and all your stuff in it. You could tackle a road trip, no sweat at all, and commuting is a non-factor. It's a no-brainer. This will just tackle whatever it is you throw at it. So honestly, I think you guys are really gonna like this. And if you want to come down and prove me right or prove me wrong, follow the link in the description below, call or text the number you're about to see on screen, and set yourself up an appointment so we can show this off to you properly. Until then, I've been Dylan. We'll see you soon.